Hey, Hannah.
Hello.
Whoa.
I have a
Yeah,
question. I was gonna ask if you own other sweaters or you just like this one a lot.
I I took off my 2015 effective altruism generic black sweater like 45 seconds ago um, to uh to put this one on, because we all need to keep our distance from
I was gonna say,
that
yeah,
brand.
just what a good. I think we all need to take off our 2015 sweaters for the more prestigious sweaters that we own for impact.
Yeah, I mean, better masks
Better.
to achieve our goals,
There are
isn't
really
it?
two options, right? No masks and the best masks.
Right. And isn't that what effective altruism really wants from us?
No, no, and that's not my experience, although I did really like your post about this. Like
Oh,
genuine.
thank
It was just very, very, yeah. Do I get to talk about this? Can I gas you up a little bit? It was, so for context, Matt wrote a Substack post called EA is losing its soul or something like that, or
The soul of EA is in trouble.
the soul of EA is in trouble. Nice, nice, nice frame as like in jeopardy, not yet lost. There's still time to fix it. With the tell me if this is right, but like the broad overview being something like as EAs and EA organizations seem to be running to like distance themselves from both the EA brand and towards this like specific answer to the questions that EA poses, which is like AI safety uber alles. Maybe we're sort of missing something about the deep moral core that motivates all of us, which might have like a bunch of impact implications and sort of spiritual implications and so on. And one of the things I like best about it is that yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of object level agreements, but in particular, I just do find that my absolute favorite people working in these spaces, often in the AI safety space, just because those are the people I know, genuinely do think to themselves, when I spend some ludicrous amount of money having dinner with some politician or whatever, and then they ask themselves, but $5,000 could save a life. They're not like, oh God, that's such an old way of thinking. They're like, yeah, yeah, $5,000 could save a life, and I still endorse this other thing. And like that to me, I don't know, that's just the right way to think about it. If you can do that without going completely mental insane, which not everyone can.
Yes, not everyone can, and I think a lot of the posts, I don't know how much this came through, was me kind of punching down. Um, it's like there's these great people who are higher status than me who I think do exactly what you describe and who I like think are great and like kind of trust. But like the ecosystem building underneath them doesn't perceive that because I assume you're like personal friends with a lot of these people and that's how you get these insights and things like that. The kind of like field
Wow, you
building
really
aspect of
made
things.
me talking about how good a blog post of yours was into Hannah, you're probably friends with fancy people. It's like an
Oh, not probably.
impressive ability to just like turn the conversation into the dynamic that you wanted. Yeah, okay. Sure.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
sorry. I'm sorry I drag you down into the gutter with me all the time.
Your claim is so the saucy version of your claim is something like AI safety uber alles is a luxury EA belief.
No, 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 no. No, it's just that the perception of what's going on, right? Because I think when people look at the projects and the programs, they don't see EA uber alles. They don't see EA at all, hardly. Even if many of the people behind these programs may in fact be EAs and motivated by those things, though I wonder like how much this varies across what we'll call the high status people. The newcomers, the people coming in who aspire to that, don't see that at all, basically. And the kinds of questions that get foregrounded in various like programs and fellowships and things to get people started, like these like global impact questions are just like way to the peripheries, if not off the table entirely. And it's just like, where do you think this is going? So you're making these trade-offs to like accumulate instrumental kind of power, which you need, and we all should acknowledge that.
This is
But
a
like
specific claim about why people are doing what they're doing that I don't know that I agree with. But carry on. I'll just flag. Putting that
and
out
and and yeah, I mean, granted, like I am not like 100% confident in my claim, and you can argue against it and things like that. But this is just a classic. This is just a classic like, oh, you realize that there was some instrumental strategy that you could pick up to like accomplish your ultimate goal. Maybe there's some risk you get lost in that strategy, and maybe I see some evidence that people are getting lost in that strategy and just
there.
becoming kind of generic AI people that aren't focused on the most impactful parts of AI. And like I don't know, a lot of these people should probably start working on animals if they're really going to do what they appear to be doing in some cases.
No, I think that's really key. But I guess for me, there's also this other question. Maybe you're especially interested in the like grasping at power and prestige and what that does to the human soul. And I think that's like a really important and interesting question. I guess I'm interested in this also this kind of like parallel track, which is like so I was a teacher, as you know, and so like I am asking my students, or I often ask my students to do kind of like what to them was probably often like slightly tedious math homework for some like theory of like a broader mind that they could grow. And I think part of the claim I was implicitly making is I have already built this mind, and so I get to specialize. I don't have to take all these classes. I get to just be a math teacher. And there's something like, yeah. So I think even if there was no prestige and no power seeking, there is this thing of like, you take time to ask the question. CEA for a while was batting about the notion of like, should EA be kind of like, the frame should be EA as university, the thing you spend your time in when you really put in the work to like think about your cause prioritization, to think about all of these crucial considerations, to think about all these hard questions. And then once you like make your best, once you make your best call, you like pick a career in it. And people can always go back to school, whatever. There's lots and lots of good analogies here. And I think there is something awkward about that, even as a teacher, where I was like, you should study history for an hour and science for an hour and math for an hour. And what am I doing? Do I do those things? Now, I claim to be like a fairly intellectually curious person. I, in fact, was going to like libertarian dialogues at night held by reason.org because Manhattan was a great time. But like, not always, and not everyone does that. And so we are like asking things of our students, in this case, like young EAs, that we like don't ask of ourselves. And I think you can endorse that, you can justify that, but it's like it doesn't come through immediately. It just looks like hypocrisy. It looks like rank hypocrisy. And many smart students are like, what the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, I get it. And I think some of it is rank hypocrisy because education, I don't know, we don't really know how to educate. We're like, yes, 1 hour of each. That will be the optimal strategy. God, like, what do we know?
Completely right. And I do definitely think that is like a powerful kind of model. Education, make your decision, then specialize. And specialization is also important, another important instrument to pick up. Hannah, as you know, I went to Catholic school. And yes, the idea is like we go to school and we do our subjects for 1 hour a day, but then we graduate and we like specialize in the economy, we do some job, but we still go to church on Sunday.
Yeah, that's good.
And I'm worried that people are not going to church on Sunday and they're disparaging the name of Christ.
Sunday morning service, babe.
We're back. However, that was last week's title, Hannah. We got to talk shop here. We've released an episode. We've gotten some audience feedback from the episode. Turns out a lot of our audience is in the UK.
Okay.
Stay with me. Do you understand the feature of UK government where the Prime Minister goes to Parliament to receive questions from the opposition?
Yeah. Prime Minister's questions is key.
Prime Minister's questions, and of course the media likes to abbreviate. They call them PMQs. Hannah, our show can be called CMQs. I'll spin up a Gmail for us, mattandhannah@gmail.com. Send in your questions, and they will be answered by our CM.
That's good, because we're CNM, but also I'm CM.
Oh, I didn't even think of myself.
Classic.
I'm just the straight man, all right? As our friend told us.
All right, we don't have to bring in people's sexualities.
Not that. In our very 1920s radio style format, the silent version of this is coming out soon. I'm that kind of straight man.
CMQ. That's good. That's good. I don't know if I like it better than expected volume. I was actually going to ask you, like, which of us is expected and which of us is volume, but
we know the answer to that.
I think you know the answer to that.
I'm much more punctual, as we've established from episode 1.
See, this is the problem with.
You went on vacation 1 week. You were 7 minutes late 1 week. We've only done 4 of these.
I'm going to Norway next week. Yeah, I like it. I don't know if I like it better than expected volume, but as we said, it can have just a different title every week, and that's fine. Can I give you some other feedback I heard?
Yep.
And I think the framing was dessert. This deserves a better thumbnail.
I mean, yeah, it is really 1997 Microsoft PowerPoint from old Matt, but that's the level of technology I'm at. So listeners, when I established this email that I just promised you like 2.5 minutes ago, you can write in and let me know if you have thumbnail making expertise, and I'll just hand the reins over to you.
Yeah, well, we could. I mean, obviously fan art. is incoming, no
Oh
doubt.
yeah. Oh yeah. I was worried for a second you were going to suggest that I learn how to do this.
No. As we know, learning is for young people. Now that we're grown-ups, we don't need to learn things. But we do have to learn how to tell young people in the most condescending way possible that their time, the time of their youth, is best spent sitting down doing the homework we've assigned, whereas our time is best spent going to the bar with our friends.
Exactly. Exactly.
In their context where they know how to make friends, where they've like been shunted together with all kinds of other people their age, they should stay at home. And we should obsess about creating third spaces and the loneliness crisis. It's just division of labor.
Precisely. Precisely.
I don't hate school. I'm not a school hater. I feel complicated about it.
You know, on our theme of like becoming the mask that you wear to gain power or whatever, are are you worried that we're just gonna turn into two random charming podcast hosts?
Yeah, I worry a lot about like, God, what if I become just really charming? I just like stay up at night and I'm like, God, what if I was just like well liked, well known, smart, quick on my feet, and like, God, you have to think through the implications, the long-term implications of your
Well, my
actions.
point is we would lose our piety
I see. Church. Church.
and all our awkward, fake, half autistic virtue.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, so okay, so there's a couple possibilities here. One, we could create a structure and a template, and by we, I obviously mean you, who does all the work for this podcast, to make sure. Like, we could start with a question, right? We could do confession at the
Yep.
start of each podcast,
Hannah, you've hit it. You've got it. We're good.
or we could try to make sure the audience capture leads us in the right direction. So we only appeal to the
Uh,
pious, so that they're like, God, there's so much heresy, there's so much degeneracy in this podcast.
right. Well, Hannah, you know how we could advance that specific kind of audience capture?
Tell me all about it.
We could bring on the most pious guest that we could think of. Old school religion, Mr. Daniel Filan.
Incredible. Good. Very good.
Hey, Daniel.
And Daniel's a real podcaster. Hell yeah. He's got a mic.
Yeah, they really work.
Hell fucking yeah.
I dare say that I'm more professional because my mic is off camera.
Whoa.
It may not be working as well, but we'll see.
Well, yeah, there are pros and cons, I guess.
Doesn't even
We shall
occur-
see.
Sorry, actually, do you want to know so the thing about having the mic on camera is it means that it's like really close to your face, and it's therefore like more able to just pick up your voice and not things around you. So that's one reason you might do it this way.
Yeah, I imagine the house behind you, Daniel, is just raucous at 9:15 in the morning.
Well, I do live right next to a major road that does have cars going past it as we speak. So
Sorry. Can I just be a little bit city supremacist for a while? There are no major roads where we live, Daniel. We live in a quiet suburb that sometimes has cars.
okay, fair enough. Let me amend this. I live near a road with annoying cars that once every few months there's a collision, like
Oh,
right outside my house.
That checks out.
wait,
It's
that's
a four-lane highway, Hannah. Do you know where Daniel lives?
I do know where Daniel lives, which we won't we won't go into more detail. That's so sad. Collision, like people get hurt?
I mean, I don't know if people get hurt. I just know that I hear a collision. Yeah, basically, there's just a weird thing with traffic lights where there are some in some places, but not where you might expect one to be near my house.
Can I ask the two of you to guess how big you think traffic lights are? The ones that hang?
We probably both already know.
Well,
Don't already know.
This is like a fun internet fact, but go ahead, Daniel. I'll let you guess.
the ones clearly, specifically, the ones that hang from the top. Not the ones that are like on the stuck to a pole on the side of the road.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just thinking about my window and how big it looks from the road compared to how big traffic lights look from the road.
I have to tell you, this
So,
is like ASMR. I love rationalists doing Botex out loud. I love it. It's soothing, smart. I love people like actually looking at the environment. So it's just screams virtue to me. They're just
Thank
like,
you.
what if I actually thought about this dumbass question and took it serious? Oh God, I love it so much.
Yeah, but now I'm not sure how big they actually look. So I'm not, I think I'm gonna say like I assume you're asking because they're bigger than one expects. So I'm guessing 3 meters.
Matt, what's the number you have in your head?
First of all, Daniel, I'm surprised that you didn't use freedom units. Um, uh,
Need them.
He's
but
Australian.
right, but he's like so adopted America and its
And
traditions.
we
At least that's my perception. Um, yeah, I was gonna say like 6.5, 7 feet, which is yeah a bit over 2 meters. She's so mad that we're right.
I don't. Okay, so this does not come. This does not come to you from like store of Hannah's fun internet facts. This comes to you from Hannah grew up in Miami, Florida, and sometimes they would fall down during hurricanes, and you'd be like, "Holy shit!" This thing I looked at every day, I was so wrong about how big it was. But that means I actually have no, like, I don't know numerically. And those both seem actually way too big to me. I just like remember the visceral sense of like an everyday object. Like, I don't know if you guys grew up in highlights magazines where there's like a puzzle at the end, which is like a really zoomed in version of an everyday object, like an envelope or a pen. And you just like realize you've just like never really looked. And like, there's something very unnerving and exciting about like traffic light at your feet. But I remember it being shorter than me. So I guess I have no idea.
So
Yeah.
so
I'm Googling it, and it seems like the typical. So the quote is the typical traffic signal head is about 30 to 36 inches tall.
Okay, this
Like,
is
wow.
about half my height was about what I was thinking.
wait, is that for individual lights or for the whole three
Yeah,
light
for the whole
apparatus?
Yeah,
Huh.
and there's a picture of one next to a person, and it like goes like up to their chest or something.
This is my recollection from being 11.
Really? Huh. So maybe I know that the meme on the internet was there's a picture of like a road worker on top of a cherry picker going up to a traffic light, and the traffic light was as big as the worker basically. It's like a full grown man. But maybe I'm like misremembering the image, or that was like a especially large one because there are very small ones, as you mentioned, Hannah, the ones on the pole.
It's vary a lot, right? Like the probably like the ones with, like huge highways might be like even bigger. Like the ones I'm thinking of, I grew up in like unincorporated Miami-Dade County, so like not a very lively part of Miami, therefore maybe not the biggest traffic lights. Anyway,
We should introduce Daniel.
yeah, we should.
He's been here for a minute, and I had this whole intro drawn up, but we really did need to address the traffic light question. So fair enough. Yeah, so our guest today is Daniel Filan. He's a research manager at the Machine Alignment Theory Scholars Program, where he supports technical AI safety researchers getting actual work done while their supervisors are busy being famous. He's the host of the AXRP podcast, which some say should be called the AERP podcast, and and some others say that it should be called the AXRP podcast, but the R stands for something different. There, he interviews eminent AI safety technical researchers and increasingly governance researchers, and finally gets them to tell us what the hell they're doing. Before he did all that, he earned his PhD at UC Berkeley under Stuart Russell at the Center for Human Compatible AI. And of course, today, he is the first winner of our reviewer guest program, where we invite on someone who was the kind of person who would have always sent us a review of our published work a week after we invited him. So Daniel, welcome.
Thank you. I would have sent you a review of your published work even if you hadn't invited me, to be clear.
That's exactly why you're here.
The other cut is like the real.
We only invite
the
Newcomb
real,
like
But yeah, the real sticklers will want to call it the AIERRP. But that's not what it's called. It's called AI.
As I recall, the R standing for something different meant just drop the research. It's cleaner.
I
should we give
I don't wanna-
context? Maybe no one needs context.
It's called the AI X Risk Research Podcast. The X is for X Risk. You might think that would be its own letter in the acronym. You might think that like existential begins with E. That's the context.
I would like to take the opportunity to both brag and humble myself by saying that the sweater that Daniel is wearing, the lovely hoodie, I was one of the first purchasers of.
Yeah.
Hannah,
Very
are you the owner of a pair of costly signaling socks?
No.
Did you not know about this? This is the best product in the AXRP shop. Well, it existed. I don't think it exists anymore, does it, Daniel?
No, I realized that nobody was buying anything, and there's a fixed cost of. So I did it such that it was a business that I ran, that I had to like figure out how much things should cost, and I had to pay taxes on it, and it turns out this was just a mistake. So I took it offline. But yeah, there were these costly signaling socks where I had some socks with the AXRP logo embroidered on them, and I was like, how much should these cost? And I said some amount, and then from the fact that you know about them, maybe you were the one who suggested this idea, but someone was like, what if you just make the socks incredibly expensive and call them the costly signaling socks? And nobody bought them.
Also, I don't think they were incredibly expensive. I think they were like $36 for a pair of socks.
That's like, well, how credible that expense is perhaps varies among different people.
This is a good bit. I remember when I was in high school and apps were new. The iPhone had just come out. There's an app for everything. Do you guys remember the $1 million app?
Well, yeah.
Which solely existed to cost $1 million?
Nice.
There was another one that was $10,000 that's called the I Am Rich app. And it would just tell you that you're rich.
I do think there's an interesting question here about why, and many people have asked, many people have answered. I'm not saying this is like an under discussed question, but I want to discuss it anyway. Less wrong. Where's the merch? At one point there was a Less Wrong store, so like some very few people have like some merch if you got in at the right time, but it was A, weirdly expensive, and B, I'm sorry, these people weirdly are just extremely good designers, among other talents. They weren't like up to their standards. Once the merch.
Do you think they've thought about it actually?
Well, I bring it up at dinner often, so people make them think about it.
Yeah.
And what kind of responses do you get at dinner?
They have other priorities. I don't know.
I do have actually. If you'll indulge me for a second.
Daniel's gonna go get his roommate to explain to us. The fate of the rest of them.
Oh, I was hoping to turn into a fashion show. Yes,
Hey!
Yeah, they have handed out T-shirts at various points. I believe, was that one for being at the opening party? I think that one was for being at the like Less Wrong 2.0 revival party. I think like their recent round of fundraising, they said that you would get a T-shirt if you donated to them, although they haven't sent out those T-shirts yet. I think, yeah, why don't they have a merch?
This seems like an EMH failure to me. I just feel like they could make absolute bank.
Well,
from the singular purchaser of the AXRP hoodie.
Well, the story of the AXRP hoodie is even lamer than that for me. Is that like Daniel? I get to feel very special for having bought this, and I like love this sweater. But I'm so sorry, I'm not actually a regular listener, so I do sometimes worry that I'm gonna like somebody on the street is gonna be like, name the three best episodes, and I'm gonna fail a gatekeeping exercise, and then also. Yeah, like I get to look very cool and like I listen to a smart podcast, but actually I bought it like because Daniel was like, "Can you check that this works?" So I really am the fakest of all fake geek girls.
By the way, if anyone here is wondering how to get their podcast store starting, this is a nice scam you can run. No, I really did want to check if it worked.
Oh, you just ask each of your friends individually and tell them they're the only one you're asking. That's very good.
Well, you were especially important because you were overseas at the time, so I wanted to see if that whole situation worked out. Other people did buy the hoodie. The hoodie, like multiple people bought. The jigsaw puzzle was not a popular one. The socks were not popular.
Here's a hot take: when Less Wrong starts their store, when you create your store, when expected volume and or whatever else we're going to call this start our merch store. I think we're just like leaning. There's this excellent line in The West Wing where Josh is like, the data says that we are like losing on guns. And his statistician is like, no, you don't know what the numbers are telling you. My job is to tell you what the numbers are telling you. Maybe you just haven't talked about guns enough and you like need to convince people. That analogy is a little warped, but hear me out. Suits. Nice shirts and suits. We're like, everyone around here wears t-shirts. We should sell t-shirts. No, everyone has too many t-shirts because they all wear t-shirts all the goddamn time. You just sell people things they don't already have. I would wear a less wrong pantsuit in a heartbeat. Sell it to me.
How many people do you encounter wearing themed pantsuits of any kind?
Well, that's exactly her point.
Everyone would. If you build it, they will come.
This is how I feel. This is how I feel. And Less Wrong has the cultural cachet around here to like set tones. This is not even a hot take. A true fact about the Bay is that there's a bit, I think, of a pluralistic ignorance information cascade ready to happen around everyone wanting to dress up a little bit more. I hear it. The people tell me. The people are telling me they wish there were more opportunities to dress up. And I used to say, Less Wrong was like, we're all wearing suits for the next 2 weeks. Everyone who comes to Lighthaven needs to wear a suit.
And sorry, it's going to be a Less Wrong branded suit? It's going to be a suit jacket, and there's going to be a Less Wrong logo on the pocket?
Like, tastefully.
Okay, yeah, my question is how it's gonna... So, okay, hang on. One version of this is it's a Less Wrong tie with its...
So many questions.
Little tie.
None of which are these. Sorry, Daniel, go ahead. Okay, there's a tie. Yes?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to imagine tasteful versions of this, and I'm like... The tie, I think, works. I don't know how the suit works.
Okay, look. Less Wrong... God, I can't believe I'm shilling this hard for Less Wrong. They can shill for their goddamn selves, but... They have a good logo. And so, okay, Two things you can do with the suit. One, the lining can have an interesting thing, but you only see it because when someone takes it off, it's kind of very like, oh, you accidentally saw the inside. Da-da-da. And the second is like embroidery right here. Just like a nice little like compass rose star situation. Just like the rest of it is just like a nice color, like slightly like not just navy, not just black. Some like, obsessively thought about hex code. And then a little less wrong. And then, if you know, you know.
All right.
See, I'm full of ideas. I mean, to bring it all around to maybe where we started and maybe where you want to go, Matt. Investments.
Right, Daniel. We brought you on as the pious guest to talk about piety.
Okay.
And it's interesting. Another thing that I want to write. So the episode started with Hannah really gassing me up about my most recent blog post, saying that it was really good. People need to connect with the good instead of just instrumentalizing. Maybe that was my read on it. Hannah just thought there were good observations in there. Yeah, I have another post I'm thinking about that's like the kind of bimodality of like AI safety discourse, where like one mode is like very professional and very dressed up, and like we just want to be experts and know our stuff without making any like normative claims too hard one way or the other. And the other side are the folks at Lighthaven, roughly, who say like this is all about normativity. We know what's going to happen. We just need to alert people and get them pissed off, which is maybe uncharitable, but you can imagine the two poles that I'm describing here, right?
I think there's something like that. Yeah.
Actually, interesting. Like Daniel, I feel like you, as a research manager, and just obviously having been around the space, but especially as a research manager, I feel like you maybe have like actually a much more close to the ground view on this than either Matt or I, who live in like meta space, or I live in meta space. Like, what are the vibes?
What are the vibes? So okay, we have a lot of research managers. We have a lot of mentors. And therefore, the research managers get matched to the mentors, right? And this produces some selection effects of there's like a certain type of mentor and therefore a certain type of scholar I tend to get. And by and large, I think I tend to get maybe the weirder half of scholars, perhaps. So I think I maybe lean slightly.
Hear that? Many of you are matched with Daniel. Now you know.
There's a not shocking fact that some of them might listen to this, and it's not all of them. That not all of them are incorrigible weirdos. Just many of them. So I think so obviously a lot of it is just personality style, right? Like some people, they just want to do their own freaky thing, right? And some people they're into the suits. They're into the playing it straight.
Need a straight man. Need a weirdo.
Yeah. So there is this divide in messaging or something among researchers. I think like probably most of the people doing that, they like AI safety research and they want to do some research. And ideally, I think for them, they're like, I don't want to have to think about or they just like aren't spending a lot of time thinking about like, oh, I want to present this public image, or like the public needs to know this. Now, some people like do think like that, but I think probably the bigger divide is like how optimistic versus pessimistic you are about like normal ML, how like think about what's going to go in Anthropic's constitution and like get a good character. That's mostly going to be fine. Versus like we need to rethink the foundations of set theory to come up with the right kind of math to get alignment working. I think like that's more the axis, and I think there's some relation between that and like how buttoned up people tend to be. Yeah,
So
that's useful.
for my part, I just wanted to say that the axis that I was concerned with was not buttoned upness per se, but like sort of how motivated people are by catastrophic risk, by existential risk specifically, versus maybe in your domain, Daniel, it's more like, oh, people just think there's some interesting related technical problems here and I just want to do technical work, versus like, there's a problem, there's a big problem and I need to solve this problem, and that's how I'm orienting towards this.
Yeah, I think there's some of that. I think like there is a range of people on that axis. I guess like the thing you were describing earlier of like, oh, be buttoned up experts versus like just like yell about normativity or something. If you're really worried about like existential risk as a problem, I think like be buttoned up experts and like provide reliable advice. There's a lot to be said for the sort of like be neutral strategy.
I'll do anything for the cause. Are you willing to wear a suit?
Yeah. I mean, if you think of Redwood, right? Like Buck got a suit, Like I think of them as like.
But his hair is still,
his hair is still like that.
Colors only found in.
True.
And to be clear, the public at large has not seen the suit.
The public at large has not seen the suit. I suppose that's true. Well, I guess I'm very out of touch with the public at large, so I couldn't say. But
he's done a couple of video appearances recently, and he's always in a t-shirt.
He was at the like Paris conference thing in the suit, or was it London thing?
Paris.
That's right.
But he went to some fancy conference in a suit. But anyway, right, like the Redwood research types, I think of them as like being this like, let's just tell people how it is, and also like very motivated by let's not have X risk.
To think about this for my visual brand on the videos I'm making, which is like, how normative should I be, and also how much should I be wearing a t-shirt? At the moment, I think the vibe is often very like, I wear what I wore as a teacher, but like maybe I should be like woman of the people.
Sorry, what did you wear as a teacher?
Teachery things. I mean, like, I don't know.
To be clear, teacher is a very proletarian job.
Sure. Woman of the people, teaching at Trinity School on the Upper West Side, cost $50,000 a year to go there. But of the people. What did I wear as a teacher? I don't know how to describe it. Lots of. I don't know. I think this is, if you see it, you sort of seem kind of like wholesome.
Okay. Gotcha.
No.
Like you're dressing to be a good influence on children, sort of thing.
Yeah, okay, and like more quirky than cute.
Oh, interesting.
Like not optimizing for like look hot, right? Like that's not.
Yeah. Well, hot and cute are like two. I think of hot and cute as sort of like an axis, and being two different ends.
But then quirky is like orthogonal to both.
Is the third. Yeah. Interesting.
You can also be, some poor souls. Some of us are neither hot nor cute at various points. It's not.
Yeah.
You don't want to be one. As a totally different angle on this, it somehow hit me like a brick when you were talking, Daniel, about this research and Matt's asking about whether we think there's a problem. Matt, I don't know if you endorse this, but it almost sounded like you were saying like, gosh, there are people who are really committed to the problem and like really care about it for the right reasons, and then there are these like other people. I don't know if you like believe that, but it's interesting because this is like exactly. Sorry, Matt, Daniel, I don't think you think that, but I think maybe Matt thinks that. But anyway, not the point. The point is, it hit me like a ton of bricks that like. Isn't this exactly what happened with like climate science and a bunch of other research fields? And we think it's like bad for the most part for the epistemic integrity of those sciences that people went in with the thought that they need to do research to solve a problem.
So at this stage, I want to clarify that I'm not speaking on behalf of Matt's.
Nice. No, I am. They haven't endowed me with that power, but I've taken it.
You can just do things. Yeah.
You can just do things.
Yeah, do I think is that a problem? I think there's so on the one hand I think there's something to that. On the other hand, like yeah, there is something of like some technical problems matter more than others. Like there's some things that like solving them helps a lot, and there are some things where solving them does not help a lot. I think like yeah, to my mind, the ideal is people who are solving problems for a reason. Like they're solving problems that like matter to be solved, and also they're like telling you as it is. They're trying to like just
But
be
this is hard.
but
Like
it's hard.
I'm gonna call my friends, not by name, because I'm not that bold. But I was chatting with some people recently who do, lots of people do research on like scary demos or like trying to elicit
Right.
scary activity from models. And they said something like, "Oh yeah, the next time we ran it, the like percent time it hacked its user was like lower," and they like looked sad. And I was like, I feel like there's a missing mood here. We like it. The models don't hack, and they're like, no, no, no. Like we endorse that. On the way to eventually hacking less, we need to like have scary numbers now. And I'm like, eek, danger, klaxon, uh-oh. And I don't think they are fudging any kind of data or even close to it. But like, it's so tempting to like reveal the like scariest numbers and not the least scary numbers. And I experience this internal pressure all the time when I like make my TikToks and I'm like, what numbers do I reveal? And like exactly how nuanced do I go in the thumbnail? Yeah, I think the peril is right there.
And it's interesting that it cuts the other way, with people being too zealous, losing their epistemics rather than people not being zealous enough.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I wonder like so yeah, does it ever cut the way of like do you ever have climate people who are like not zealous enough and therefore they just spend all their time shilling like the wrong kind of battery that like doesn't
I mean, paper straws, Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, but that was not like that was not a researcher led development as far as I mean there was it was a researcher led in the sense that there was like this kid who did his like school science with the straws, but like but you know what I mean, right? Like how often do researchers like have bad epistemics because of not being like I guess the problem with not being like driven zealous enough is not going to be bad epistemics, it's going to be bad targeting, right?
Yeah. And maybe bad epistemics because the default is bad epistemics for everyone, but not
Right,
not,
right, right.
not in pursuit of the good, perhaps in pursuit of other normal things that tarnish our epistemics, like prestige and stuff.
Sure,
I'll
sure.
say, so shout out to my cousin, Jonah Messinger, who does a lot of very cool research. He was actually at Daniel, I think you met him at the like progress studies thing because my worlds have collapsed in some insane ways. But anyway, Jonah does research, among other things, on fusion. And he's like, people have like thrown fusion and cold fusion out the window too early. There's like something here. Some of the research is good, some of the research is bad, but like it is so valuable. And Jonah, I love you. I hope I am not totally poorly describing your research. Please write in if I am. But like, I think his experience has been that people take him and take this idea insufficiently seriously for a couple of reasons. One is that like obviously it's associated with crackpots and like cranks across the ages, but another thing is that it has this kind of like abundance, growthy energy. It's like poorly targeted from the perspective of other people's ideologies. And so I think his experience is to have been on the kind of like losing end of precisely this. And all of us to some extent are poorly targeted from the perspective, I think, of like many AI ethics folks ideology, where like in some sense we're all working on the same thing, but like we're poorly targeted because we are like missing. It's not that we're insufficiently zealous, but we're insufficiently like correct about like what really matters in the world, which is like current problems and
Yeah, and indeed being poorly targeted is I think a common critique of academia, right?
Yeah.
Like you have all these people doing like super niche things, like they're not even trying to do stuff that like matters,
They're setting sails.
Like sometimes people do things that matters by accident, but like if what if they even tried? Wouldn't that be even better?
Yeah, Hannah, I don't know if you're pointing to the relevant axis here, because I don't know, from like, I don't know, let's assume there's like some like really good at prioritizing element to like climate change advocacy effort, whatever, right? That's like focusing on like keeping CO2 parts per million down, temperatures down, stuff like that globally. If we assume that's like the most important thing, and like, I don't know, speculative maybe speculative approaches to fusion and stuff like are just like very good for that. And you actually do want a portfolio of approaches as long as every piece of the portfolio has some plausible story where it's like aiming at the real thing. Whereas like paper straws, you know, with all respect to our high school science fair participant, are just like really not aiming at the thing. There's something adjacent that's like capturing energy from the broader environmentalist climate movement that from a good prioritizing lens should be focused on other things. Does that seem like a meaningful kind of like division here?
No.
I tried.
It's funny how often so much language exists for like not quite and like let me try to restate, but you know, nothing like a good no. Which is to say, like, okay, classic factoid, false factoid going around these days. Or sorry, no, the factoid is true and then the implications are false. A ChatGPT search is like the same as 10 Google searches or something, right?
Yeah.
Our boy, friend of the pod, guest, Andy Masley, obviously spoke to this very eloquently. But like, so in some sense, attacking ChatGPT and other generative AI on energy grounds is pointing at the right thing. It's just like a total failure to prioritize and be scope sensitive. And I think plastic straws are also pointing at the right thing. They are a use of fossil fuels.
Although I think so. My understanding was that I thought the initial critique of plastic straws was not that it was a use of fossil fuels, but that they like got stuck in like turtles' noses and stuff. Like, am I wrong there?
Also, I'm backfilling what I thought was I have no idea.
Yeah, and like it could be, but you can also see how there's not like a serious effort.
Yeah,
like how plastic straws are just not taking the problem appropriately seriously, not doing prioritizing. And I'm saying like if you just see like category Y and you're like, I need to do something relevant to category Y without like really kind of philosophizing about it and prioritizing within it, I might end up doing something silly. And if that counts and I get all the social plaudits for doing something related to category Y, that's a big problem.
My guess is we've totally lost the train of thought here because like isn't the original like core example of what we're talking about, the like paradigmatic example is like a researcher who's just like finds a certain part of climate science or ML research really interesting. And like the others are looking at that guy and like being like, you are not trying to solve the problem. He's like, yeah, solve what problem? I'm an academic. I'm trying to learn things about the world. Like,
I think the conclusion of the whole conversation is that I didn't know what I was saying in that post. Which we might translate as something like, I see activists becoming agnostic scientists, researchers, or things like that. And that worries me that there'll be no activists left. There'll be no one really thinking about the core of the problem and what's important about it and pushing it forward. Rather, there will be people seeking prestige in places where it already exists.
Yeah, okay, maybe I can say something just about this phenomenon. I just think there are a couple different types of people. Like if you have, so Redwood, right? People like Buck, I think they are continuing to think like, oh yeah, how can I like solve this problem? A lot of people in the field are like that. And also, I think you have a lot of people who are like, oh, AI safety seems really important. I'm pretty good at ML. Let me work in this field. You know, I'm going to like get a job. I'm going to like do a thing. Probably it's going to be useful. My impression is that this is a common attitude, and it seems like a decently laudable attitude. And so, and I think you're seeing the fraction of the second kind of type of guy, as it were, go up. But I think probably that's just because as things become more successful, you know, you're starting to build a field where people can work even if they're not like single-mindedly devoted to the cause. I don't know if that's the whole story, but I definitely think that's part of the story.
Yes, and I totally endorse that and think that, yeah, if you grow something, it will just like take on those characteristics. I'm actually I'm somewhat worried about specific individuals and specific organizations actually just sliding into the other thing because that is like where the cultural currents are going. And I could be just totally wrong about that. I am not inside baseball enough to have a strong view. And I am just very protective.
Berkeley, you left us. You can be here with the inside baseball. The baseball is right here.
That's,
I had to have my microphone right next to my mouth so that you wouldn't hear the bats because it's inside my house.
We're on the field. We're in the arena. Go back.
September. I'll be there in September.
Inside baseball refers to like a specific style of baseball play. I like looked this up recently because I was like, what the fuck is inside baseball? Like inside a house, the ball stays inside the field. No, it just like refers to the specific strategy of like keep the ball kind of in Like, don't hit
Oh,
it.
really?
Yeah. Which
And so the metaphorical use is like just people misunderstanding the term, or
I don't have a story for that.
Interesting. Interesting.
I think not
Daniel,
that interesting. I regret bringing it up. Moving along.
yeah, that's another one for listeners to write in. It's our mystery of the week. Um, yeah, so Daniel, you have another podcast. It's very good that I want to highlight. It hasn't published in a while. It's called the Filan Cabinet. Maybe see that's the kind of naming that we need around here.
Right. That's right. Yeah, Daniel, how did you get the filing cabinet again?
how did I come up with the name?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was wandering around my house being like, oh, I'm starting a new podcast that's going to be a distraction for my main podcast, which is a distraction for my work. What do I call it? And my housemate, Ben Weinstein-Ron, comes up with the name, the Filan Cabinet. So all credit goes to him.
We got to ask Ben Weinstein around.
Yeah, I do think if you have friends, they'll just like some portion of them will constantly be coming up with nicknames for you, and you should just go and probe those and see what comes up.
On that basis, I have truly never had a friend, but that's okay.
On a banana? What are you talking about?
That's true. That is what my kindergarten teacher used to do.
And me, and me.
So you were asking about the Filan Cabinet, I think.
Yeah. And your last episode, I think, was the Eclipse one, or maybe Learning Latin came after that. Is that right?
Learning Latin would have come after that, but
Yeah. Hannah, did you listen to the Eclipse episode of the Filing Cabinet? No, you should. There's a great moment in there that I associate with you where a lot of their Eclipse was just driving around in cars. A lot of your Eclipse experience, getting to the Eclipse, coming from, whatever. Huge traffic jam on the way back. For some reason, the road was blocked, totally impassable. And at some point, after waiting a long time, Daniel and his friends decided to turn around. And you had some strong evidence that it was really, truly hopeless and that the right thing for everyone to be doing was to turn around. But you were one of the few cars that did. And you were worried about what do we do with all these cars who we know are waiting hopelessly. Should we signal to them somehow that the correct strategy is to turn around, other than by just turning around ourselves? Is that right?
yeah. Basically, there's this long line of traffic. So we're in actually, you've heard of Bretton Woods?
Yeah,
Like
I have.
the International Monetary Agreement. We're like there. Bretton Woods is a place in New Hampshire, and like that's roughly where we are. Where
I guess it was from Macbeth.
It's like Camp David. It's like this retreat for policy professional elite people to go and discuss important issues, something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, there's this like national park thing in New Hampshire, and there's a single lane highway through it, which is the real cause of the problem. But basically, like, yeah, people are going from like the tip of New Hampshire down to like places where people live, right? There's a single lane highway, and we're just stuck in traffic, and it's taking like we're moving forward a little bit, but like not very quickly, and it's taking hours, and also we see cars just like turning around and going the other way. So we're not the first car to like give up on this, right? Some cars are giving up, and we're like, for a while, we're like, oh, but we are making progress. But other people in the car are like, is that just because some cars ahead of us are giving up and like ceding their spot so that we get to inch forward, right? And the actual situation is that nobody was making progress. There was just like this road eventually joined some other road, and there was some intersection, and like nobody could go through the intersection because like there was a collision or something. I forget exactly what it was. And yeah, eventually we're like, we should just turn around. And so you use the term "you" there. At this point in time,
Daniel absolves himself of all responsibility for what happened.
well, no,
He had no agency in this situation.
Screw these other drivers, we're free. Oh my goodness. Like, I was elated. And one or two other I believe Eli Tyre was the strongest voice in favor of like, what if we tried to like tell these other people that they also should probably turn around.
So fucking wholesome.
Yeah.
But,
And I think the rest of us, so unfortunately he basically had spent his like bidding points on, I want to go to a specific supermarket on the way there. And we're like you know, it's like 11 p.m. or something. We're kind of tired. We're kind of like grumpy, or you know, we're not in a maximally charitable state. and also he had sort of used up his bidding points on this other thing, and so I think and by we I mean actually someone else in the car. We're like, okay, we'll think about it like a little bit. We'll call like the National Highway people and be like, hey, have you considered? Oh yeah, I guess at some point we must have gotten more firm evidence that like the way was hopeless. But yeah, we were like, oh, what if we just like call the National Highway or the state highway people and tell them to just like walk up the road and tell each car as they go along or something like that. Yeah, we were also thinking, oh, hey, should we just like tell the car behind us that it's hopeless because of reasons X, Y, Z, and also pass this message along and hope that, start a chain reaction. We didn't end up doing that. So yeah, we tried calling the state highway people with our clever idea for how to alleviate the highway situation. They were like, we will not do that. And then we gave up trying and just went home. So that's the story. And I want to be clear that like I was not one of the voices of pro-sociality in this arrangement.
So Hana, I just thought that you would have a strong anti-bystander effect kind of take here.
Well, I just never turned down an excuse to get to use a megaphone when like 6,000 people might.
But like, would you have taken? Do you take a megaphone with you? Would you have taken a megaphone to the eclipse?
I did go eclipsing, and I truly did not have a megaphone. Although I've been told that I'm pretty loud. No, what would I have actually done? I do also get very tired. I like the chain reaction idea. I think I probably would have gone with that.
I mean, call me extremely normie, but my approach would have been from the driver's side, driving the other way, just doing this out the window. And some portion of people will notice you're telling them like, hey, come on, come with me. It's like, it's hopeless. Because they're certainly considering this in their cars, right? And they just need some small gesture from someone being like, no, really, to tip them over is my theory at least. And then once you get a sufficient number of people going, others will follow, right?
This is updating me that like basic sign making materials and megaphones, we should just all have in the trunks of our cars for those of us who own cars, which is, to be clear, not me. But I just think like you kind of often want a sign.
I do. I'm not sure I like a world where everyone in every car has a megaphone.
Yeah. Okay. Thinking through the second order effects of this policy.
Maybe the signs, or maybe I'm more okay with the signs.
A story I will tell another time is the few weeks that I carried around a mini air horn in my purse at all times.
Ooh.
Which I now think was a mistake, both selfishly and probably for the world.
Chekhov's gun type situation, huh? Oh my goodness. Well, Daniel, you're a busy man. I think we should let you go. I am curious, as one last question, is one way in which you're going to be a busy man today going to the gym?
Yes, that actually, yeah, my plan was that right after this, I would head to the gym. I took that less wrong shirt from my gym bag, in fact.
Wait, this is also my plan. I put on my athleisure so that I would like be ready to go to the gym right after this. Go to the gym.
Great. Yeah, wait, hey, so I'm going to the YMCA. Are you going to the YMCA?
I was considering it, but then okay, we'll discuss. This is great.
Right. Look at this. Gymcast has finally become Gymcast, everyone. Virtually, I'll be with you. I'll be in my gym here in DC. It'll all be great. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm doing right at the podcast as well.
Great.
Nice.
We're all on the level. Daniel, thank you so much. We're looking forward to your appearance here and your gym session with Hana in a few minutes.
Honored to be here.
Thanks so much, man. Take care.
Will do. Okay, wait.
I was mid booting him. Let's keep that in. That'll be good. He watched the first episode. He knows how it works.
Zoom really does, I think, destroy dignity in ways both big. Screen, can you hear me? Here, I'm a person. I'm alive. I have interiority. God help me.
Poor Daniel. Well, anyway, that's very exciting. Maybe you two will gym together.
We never have. We're in a shared exercise group chat where everybody posts their like their weights and biases and stuff. But never gymmed.
Good
ourselves.
Good one.
We've never ourselves gymmed together, but maybe we will today.
Yeah, no, Daniel, now that he's gone, I can just put words in his mouth. He's a big gym stan. I remember getting dinner with him in his house one night, and he was admonishing all the other men that they needed to do their squats and deadlifts so they could stand up straight and look manly. It was a good time.
It's amazing how much no one seems to think you should go to the gym to become strong.
Oh, no. It's all about appearances.
Really? No one has ever made this argument to me.
I think Daniel might. Daniel says it's good for his back. His back just never hurts. It maybe used to hurt or something like that.
Yeah. I think injury reduction is pretty key here.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, I don't do any of the girly lifts, by which I mean squats, deadlifts, anything involving legs. It's just it's biceps, pecs, delts. That's all we do around here.
Yeah, because when your wife needs you to lift the car, you really want to just like have really bulging biceps and then completely collapse under the pressure.
Oh, here's a thing that my friend and I were talking about yesterday. No, not that. It is when my prospective wife, or really just any romantic encounter, gets a first impression of me for the first, like, I don't know, 2 times we meet. Maybe I'm dressed well and I'm kind of muscular. After which point, she'll just like me and be stuck liking me for the rest of her life, because that's how things work, even if I become a slob. Do you know the very gendered comment that I'm making right now? Just like the nature of male-female relationships?
I actually think it's like impressively eliding me. Do you want to say more?
My claim is like,
Isn't this stereotypically the way that, are you making a joke because this is stereotypically the way that like women trap men?
oh, I was thinking almost the other way around. No, is just that my sense is that women will be very judgmental early on, but once they've decided they're attracted to you and that you're fun and they like you, they have a very strong, you have perhaps like a very strong sense of loyalty. We're like this is my guy. I like him. If he has a problem later, like I'm going to stick with him through thick and thin. I'm not going to like rejudge him and judge him again. Whereas men are like much fickler than that.
I have absolutely no idea if I think that's true, actually.
Huh. I got a lot of resonance from my other female friend on this point. I feel like that's been my experience in relationships for what it's worth.
That you are constantly rejudging them. Every morning you assess.
I mean, sadly, yes, the negative and positive parts of this assessment.
But women get the ick. What is the ick? But
what is the latest point at which you can get the ick? That's kind of my question. I think like once you've like once you've been with a man,
like,
say
like fuck up like the zipper on his fly of his like tux, and you're like, ugh, I don't know about I was very inspired. I hope Howie's not listening. I was very inspired by the movie Runaway Bride growing up. Real classic. I don't know if you've seen it.
Right, of course, where Julia Roberts is lacing up her New Balances on the altar.
Right.
That's a promotional photo for those of you who are alive in the 90s.
Good. Maybe I don't experience. This is very interesting. Do I think myself as very loyal? I mean, I fall in love, and then I'm just in love. Maybe that's what you mean.
Yeah, maybe my claim is something like women fall in love and stay in love, and men fall out of love, and that's sad. Maybe.
That's true. There's some stylized fact that I don't know if it's true, but it's something like when men win the lottery, they get married, and when women win the lottery, they get divorced.
Yeah. Well, I guess that is that metaphor, or that saying that perhaps has no basis in evidence, does cut against my point, or no, cut in favor of my point.
It's in favor of your point.
Yeah, sorry.
It was interesting. It never occurred to me. There was a lot of like misogynistic comments underneath, some of which were along like, this is why like women can't be trusted with anything. They're so fickle. They're so whatever. And it was interesting because it had truly never occurred to me that the right read of that is that I actually think this was genuinely a bias on my part, because I think if it had been the other way around, it would have been like, men are disloyal. But it had never occurred to me to think of women as disloyal. I was like, oh, that means women are in unhappy marriages that they are like desperate to get out of if only they had the financial means.
Well, there's like the classic case of like going back to your abuser like again and again, right? And I don't know, there's like some bullshit psych we can put on this, right?
Sorry, I think men do this too. Like, what I've seen many of my male friends like go back to these like real
as Hannah looks at me intently as like not something I've done 3 times in the past.
We're not the only one who goes back to women who treat them poorly or like do not make them happy. I think that's a broader thing about like attachment styles.
Yeah.
Is I think my take here. I think if you're like a charming, unstable person, which I would claim that now I'm very stable, but and at least minimally charming. But like in the past, I've been more charming and more unstable, or same charming. It doesn't matter. More unstable. People do just like really attach themselves to you. I mean, the intermittent reward is, I think, like very, very intense. And I have definitely fallen for people who are more charming and more unstable, and just I go back. far be it for me to be overly egalitarian, but I think this might just not be that gendered. That's my hot take.
Fair enough, but you know the bullshit psych thing that I was going to say. And I preface it with bullshit just because I don't know, but it might be true.
Flesh it out.
Right, so like men want to have lots of partners, right? Lots of genetic
yeah.
diversity, lots of offspring, whatever. And women need to make the bigger investment in the man, so they might be more inclined to hang on and do whatever it takes to keep the man around to have him help raise the children.
That's right. Which I guess would predict something like the judgment at the beginning is like needs to be like extremely discerning, not only for like what kind of man are you now, but like I mean it's like if we're going real psych, it's like all genetic, right? It's like when you look like well dressed and like muscular, whatever. It's like kind of unimportant whether you're like right now well dressed and muscular. It's like what does that signal about like your genetic quality?
Yeah, but once you're stuck, I think is the point. It's like, well, now I'm pregnant, or now I have this young child, or whatever, and it's like, maybe I made a mistake, but my doubling down is clearly my best option.
Right now. Which is to say, are you dressing well for your first dates?
Well, I'm putting off all first dates until I'm 35.
Sure.
Which is
How very chaste of you.
Thank you. And perhaps I'll just join the priesthood before then, and so this is a totally moot point.
I totally agree. I think everyone should skip to second dates.
What?
This was long. I don't think I give very good relationship advice, but this was long a piece of advice I gave, which is like, God, this was so deeply typical minding. This so deeply like what I would find charming and fun. But it was like basically go into a date as if you already know each other. Like don't start with like, what's your deal? Be like almost improv style, like warmly be like, it's so great to see you. How have you been? Tell me because like when you're on these dates, when you get to know somebody, you start with like these high level overarching like what's your deal, but it's actually like the texture of a daily life is what like things are made of. Like what got you excited today? That's like in some ways much more fun for me. I think this was a broadly terrible advice.
Yeah, what would it be like to just be totally loaded with assumptions going into our interactions? Let us know, listeners.
Which is also to say that when you said what women are going to get a first impression of me on, I was like, isn't it this podcast?
I suppose so. Let us know, listeners. It's more important than before.
And show off the guns.
Oh, dear. Yeah. Well, I spent all day at the mall yesterday, Hannah, and I had a woman with me. Vivian Dong wanted a shout out. She's my fashion expert who is giving me all women's opinions on all clothes. And she was trying to layer me a bunch. And I hate layers. I want to show off the guns, but apparently you need to wear like overshirts and jackets and like, oh dear. And then you had to be at the mall for 7 hours. It was really an awful day. Thank you, Vivian, for taking some of the edge off.
I feel like I'm in the middle of like a Kathy comic. Like what kind of 2004 conversation are we having right now?
I don't know how we got from Daniel Filan.
Have you heard about the air?
Oh my goodness. I don't know how we got from Daniel Filan to here.
Do you have new clothes?
I do.
Can we have a fashion show sometime?
Oh, God.
Yeah!
Wait, so I don't know how we got from Daniel Filan to here. But we can move on to logistics and then say goodbye. Hannah, you're going to be in Norway next week.
That's so true.
The following week, are you going to be in London?
No.
You're going to be in Norway the week before EAG, and then you're not going to, because you're going to Less Online?
I'm going to New York. No, Less Online is the weekend I'm in Norway. It's next weekend. I'm missing it.
Manifest might be the one that directly, okay, fair enough.
I'm not going to Manifest. I'm going to New York City.
Also lame. But good for you being a family person. I assume you're going to see your family.
That's right. Come on. How much more virtuous and pious could I be?
Right.
Can I tell you a deeply earnest, wholesome thing that I just like really, I don't know why I feel the need to preface this, but like I am changing tones. Traditionally, what one does on a Friday night when one does Shabbat is parents bless their children. There's like a specific blessing. You like put their hand on your head and they say it. And my family does this, and I find it like my dad and mom when she's around like put their hands on me and bless me. Friday night that we're together, and it's honestly one of the most beautiful things that happens to me regularly.
Well, no wonder you live such a blessed life, and you're such a blessed co-host.
And Chana, the name, it means like favor, like divine favor, like grace. Nominative determinism is really looking out for me.
You have a lot going for you, Hannah.
True. I'm very lucky.
And we're so grateful that you sully yourself with this show.
We can talk about logistics.
Yeah, you're going to be in Norway next weekend, and,
Oh,
and
yeah,
not at the
Give me
podcast,
more.
and then
Give me
not
time.
not at EAG where I'm going to be in London.
Oh, you're. I'm
But
gonna
the
be
time is fine. It's 5 p.m. and for me and noon for you, and it'll be great. We just can't be together
You're
in
not gonna
person.
film this. You're not gonna do this while you're at EAG.
Of course I am.
That's insane.
It's a little thing called dedication.
There's another thing called prioritization, but I like it. You should book a one-on-one with me, despite not being at the event. Oh my God, but think of the guests. You just have your absolute pick of the guests.
Exactly.
Great.
See who we get.
Amazing.
All right, Hannah.
This is
Get to
all
the
right?
gym,
Yeah.
lift big, impress Daniel, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.